Hello, everybody. This is your Weatherman here again with my first episode of the Ants Underground Kingdom. This app is basically a combination of a military strategy game and a city builder at the same time, but using ants, instead of Sims or other little people. So what I'm going to do here is I've already got a well-established colony. I'm not going to take you through the city building aspect. But I'm going to do a quick tutorial of how to put together your military. Now, your military is basically going to be composed of 3 different types of insects. You can have 4 armies. Each army can have a general, the one thing that leads the army. And then each army has 3 columns. So each army is going to also have 3 special ants or lieutenants that guide that row of soldiers and what they do. The armies themselves, on your within your cityscape within the map, they're going to be called the Pro Unit, your Rally 1, Rally 2, and Rally 3 units. In this case, I've renamed my armies so that it tells me something about what they're composed of, because you can get to your armies by many different methods, but one of the easiest ones is simply by selecting the crossed swords icon. To get your different soldiers, you have to hatch them, and you can hatch them at your basically your carrier, your guardian, or your shooter ant buildings, and those are going to be your basic soldier type ants. Your guardians, as the name implies, are going to have more defense. Your shooters are going to be your offensive-minded soldiers. And your carriers, they're somewhat of a hybrid, but they also have a city building aspect to them as well. There are advantages and disadvantages to using all of them in the same army, to using one type and make that your entire army, and I'll describe some of that here. For one thing, if you go to your troop camp, you can see all of the soldiers you already have hatched, and they'll be laid out there for you in terms of the number of troops you have and then their level. Their level is in Roman numerals there. So my shooters, shown by the crossbow icon, I have them at level 9. My guardians with the shield icon, they're generally at level 8, although I do have a level 7, some level 7 guardians there still. And then your carriers, those little eyedropper looking icon things, and I have those at level 8. And you'll notice within each level, there's also 2 types. So I have, one, basically a Roman numeral 9 shooter army, and then a Roman numeral 9 shooter army with sort of a little special icon in the top right-hand side. And those are enhanced ants. So once you hatch your soldier ants, one of the things you can do in your troop camp is you can enhance them. So that takes time, of course, and it also takes some resources. It takes honeydew, but that allows you to make your individual soldiers a little bit stronger. So a level 9 shooter ant is already really strong, but if you enhance it, it gives you even a little bit more of an edge on your enemies. And we just popped over the server reset here, so I got the new VIP notice. But to compose your army, what you're going to want to do is take a look at your available resources. One of the main things you're going to want to look at is your generals, your insects. Your insects, they have special properties that will, guide you as to what type of army you should build. In this particular army, I have an insect. It's called a devil flower, and if you go over and click on the insect tab, you'll be able to see more information about the insect. If you click on the special ants tab, you can look at more information about all your special ants. And then your ant troops, of course, that shows you basically what I showed you in the troop camp screen before. But your devil flower there, you can see that that general basically is only good for shooter ants. So if you're gonna run a devil flower, you should only have shooter ant type soldiers in it. Same thing with the mantis general there. The mantis general supports shooters. This is finally a different type of insect here, your emperor scorpion. This is going to give boost to carrier ants. So that's, again, based on that insect, based on that general, you're going to want to fill that army with carrier ants. Your atlas beetle, if you do have an atlas beetle as an insect, as the general of your army, that gives you the most leeway because that supports all types, or it gives advantages to all types of soldiers. And that can allow you to build a more diverse army, but it doesn't allow you to specialize as much. So there's pros and cons, give and take, to what type of army you want to put together. As you can see, I've put together 2 shooter type armies, 1 carrier army, and then 1 diverse army where I have guardians, carriers, and shooters. Once you have your the type of army you want, then you have to decide who's going to lead each column. And the order of those columns matters. So from the top down, that's how your army is going to meet the enemy. And the enemy is going to have the exact same 3 columns, except you'll be meeting them in a mirror image. So to lead your column, or to lead your row of soldiers there, you will need to select a special ant. And based on the special ant skills, you're going to get a lot of special ants, a lot more special ants than insects. So you have a lot more choices and variety on how you build your army. In general, your special ants, they're going to work or have some of the same attributes as your insects, and that some of them will support shooters, some will support carriers, some guardians. But you'll also have universal ants, universal special ants, and that's noted by the N there on the special ant screen. What you want to do with each special ant is, since I want shooters here, I picked shooter special ants, and you want to take a look at their special skills, and you want to look at the range of those special skills. So not all of the special skills will have a range. It just applies to your whole army or your whole row, which is fine. But when they do have a range, you want to pay attention to that range, because the range is going to determine how far away from that row that special ability can hit. So if my insect, my Banshee Panda there in the front row, if it has at least one attack that has a range of only 2, so it can only hit the first and second row of my opponents. It can't hit the back row. With my middle row there, I've got a special ant that has special skills that do 4, that have ranges of 4 or 5. So it can, you have to count your own row. So it could hit my first row, but it won't. But then your next 3 rows of enemies, so that range of 4, is going to cover all of my enemies. And in your back row, basically you need skills with a range of 5 if you want to hit all of the enemy soldiers. And the same works for your opponent. Up front, obviously your ants are much more likely to get hit more often. So it may be strategic to have a slightly stronger or defensive-minded or health-minded special ant up front, because they're going to get hit most frequently. In the back, you're going to want your soldiers. They're not going to get hit as frequently, but you want them to hit harder. So you're going to want to put those ranged skills in there that hit hard, but that can also hit everybody at the same time. So you don't want to make a nice army out of all shooters, and then have a bunch of special ants that all have range 2, because if you have a skill with range 2 in the back row, it can't hit any of the enemy armies, so that skill is completely useless. And so when you build your armies up, those are the basic things to keep in mind. Again, you want to look at your general. What type of soldiers will that general support? Then you look at your special ant to see, the range of your special ant and what that special ant can do for that row of soldiers within your army. And then you want to make sure that you structure your rows in such a way that your special ants have skills that allow your soldiers to hit as many of the opponent's soldiers at the same time, or at the same time during an attack. Each attack will go through several rounds, so you certainly want to hit as many of the opponents at the same time as possible if you can. And that's it for my first tutorial here on building an army. I hope you enjoy this, and if you do, please like and subscribe. I'll make some more, and this is your Weatherman, signing off.